process of finding your bug in the code is called debug. Okay, now here, now we are working on a macros, correct? So understanding or finding an error or a warning in a normal base as code, it was very simple. It will show in the clearly in the log, correct? Where the warnings are there, where the error was there. While you're practicing also, you could have observed. But the finding of any errors or warnings within the macro, when you run the macro, for example, the scenario if you observe, any scenario. Let me take this positional parameter method. Okay. You're running some macro code. Okay. Somewhere you'll call the macro. After 3 to 4 steps, you call the macro. Once you call the macro, it will execute the, say, you defined a macro. It's not showing anything. When you call the macro, what will happen? So directly the steps will be executed. Okay. See the log directly. What was step was execution. That execution note only it will show you. If any errors are warning, if any errors in the macro code, it's very difficult to understand within the macro because see, it's not a base code, right? It's a macro code. Everything you have macro variables and all will be there. So finding of an errors in the macros is a little difficult. To make you easy, so SAS gave some options. Okay. SAS gave some debugging options. One is mlogic, SymbolGen, mlogic, mprint, and symbol. These are the global options. What is the meaning of global options? Global options meaning if you run these options one time, it's going to be applicable throughout your SAS code. Not only for example, if you write one option here for one macro, not only for this macro, it will work. These options will work for all the other macros within your code. Wherever macros you wrote it, for everywhere it will work. Because this is a global options. Global meaning throughout it will work. So for example, in some place, only I want in for this, for example, only for this test macro, test one macro. Two macros you wrote. Only for test macro, I need to run. For test one macro, I don't want these options to work. That time, okay, we have, for example, mlogic option, you gave it for a test macro. For test one, you don't want. So you want to stop this mlogic options to work. To stop it like that, you have a counterparties also. No mlogic. No mlogic. You have counterparties for everything. No SymbolGen. No mprint. No symbol. Okay. So like this, you have total 6 options. 3 main, 3 counterparties. Okay. So now let us discuss one by one option. How this option is working. What is the meaning of that option? Okay. Now, if you observe, right, now we are not used any macros or any options. You are getting the log like this. When you call the macro, directly each step executed and that node it was right. Now when I start the using options, let me use the one by one option. First mlogic. Okay. I used mLogic option. Okay. Now, after using the mLogic option, now you run your code. Define the code and call the macro. See how the macro is coming up, how the log is coming, what mLogic option is giving. So mLogic option is will tell. So this is test is your macro, right? So where the test macro was started, beginning of execution, ending of execution. And it will give in this test macro, what are the parameters? One means what are the macro variables you have and what is those values you are provided. See, we are given the 4 macro variables, right? Library, DS underscore and observation limit. And what are the values you passed for that one? When you calling at the time of macro. Okay, when it will be useful, okay, this same logic option. For example, you run around 3 macros at a time. In test 1 macro, you have 3 steps. In test 2, you have 4 steps. In test 3, you have around 5 steps. When you run, when you call all the 3 macros, what will happen? All the 3, you will be having all steps like this, one by one. It will be having 3, 4, 5, 6. All the logs, it will show everything one by one. You don't have, when, for suppose if any error was occurred, any warnings if became, you feel like confused. This step is for which macro? Is it for test or test 1 or test 2 or test 3? To identify that one, it was you face a little difficult. That's the reason this mLogic will option will tell, okay, it will show it's the beginning and ending of execution. Means within this, if any error was occurred, it was belongs to test macro. It belongs to test 1 macro. It belongs to test 3 macro. Like that. In that purpose, this mLogic option will be. Okay. So mLogic options, it clearly gives where is your beginning of execution and ending of execution of macro, and also it provides the in this test macro, what are the macro variables you have, what are those values. Okay, clear? That is mLogic. Next, we'll see what mprint will do. So before we'll see the mprint, I don't want to check the mLogic now. Let me give no mLogic. No mLogic. Okay, only mprint details I need. No mLogic, mprint. Now call your macro. Define the macro, call the macro. So what mprint will do? Okay, what mprint is doing? So when you call the macro, it will go to here, right? So it will execute in the first step. So what it is printing? Mprint will print the your base SAS code. Nothing but after resolving all the macro variable, how your code looks like. See, data class set SAS dot class run. This is the first step you wrote it. Your base SAS code. After resolving macro variable, how your base SAS code looks like, it will be printed in the log line. Then it will execute, it will show the notes. Now tell me if you have any errors, finding in the base SAS code, it was easy. Comparatively, previously won't get it. You directly will get error message. That time it was very difficult to find it. Now, if we have any error or warning also, easily you will find it. Okay, if there is any semicolon missing or any colon missing or any comma missing or anything, any option you missed. Finding in a base SAS code, it was easy. So mprint will print the base SAS code. Like this in each step, what was happening? See in the second step, what you're doing, you're writing the proc content. Okay, proc content of which data set, class data set, and it is creating an output data set. In the third step, directly if you see that this node, you won't understand anything. But when you see the code, base code, you understand, okay, from class content, there's a class one data set is created. Okay. And they gave a if condition this one. Okay. And print will every option, it will print the base source code. You can understand the base source code to find out the any errors and warnings. Okay. In real time also, this imprint option is very, very useful because once you go to OOP, there is a existing macros will be there. Means already someone wrote the macros. You use directly to the option, those macros generally. So there, if you want to understand what is this macro was doing, what are the steps was, you directly go and see the code. Okay. Here, luckily, you only wrote the code, you only write a macro, you understand, even if you have macro variables also. But in go to real time, any other macro if you give, very difficult to understand directly. But when you use option mprint, use mprint, run that code and go and check in the log window. Now read the code. You will understand, okay, in each step what is happening, each step what is happening. You will get a clear idea when you see a business code. Comparatively, when you see a macro code directly. Okay. That's the purpose of mprint. Okay. Next, symbol J. So now I don't want no mlogic, no mprint, only symbol J. Okay. See what symbol J is doing? Symbol J. In each step, when you enter the test macro, in each step, what are the macro variables you have? And what that macro variable, how it was resolved, to which value it was resolved. It will show in the log window. See, for example, in this data step, we have three macro variables, ampersand ds underscore name, ampersand library, ampersand ds underscore name. So in the log, it will show macro variable ds underscore name resolves to class, library resolves to SAS, ds underscore resolves to class. Then it will execute. See, in the second step, how many macro variables you have? 1, 2. Days and 2 times 2s underscore name is there. So how it is resolved? Ds underscore name resolves to class, resolves to class. In the third step, how many you have? 1, 2, 3. 3 macro variables are there. See, it resolves to all the 3 macro variables and then it will execute. So when it will be useful, for example, in any step you are getting a wrong result. So immediately use the symbol gen option, check how the macro variables are correctly resolving or not in that particular step. Instead of, for example, instead of class, it is resolving to class 1. Means you something went wrong, you wrote something wrong in a code. You passed a different value while you are calling the macro. So how it was resolving the each step. And check it easy, simple. Okay, that is simple. So let me run all the 3 at a time. Let's see how your log will come. All the 3 options I'm using. See, when you use all the 3 options, your log will come. M logic, okay, it will give the beginning of execution and ending of execution. And also it will give in the test macro, what are the macro variables have those values. Okay, next. symbol gen and imprint. So observe symbol gen imprint. Symbol gen will resolve each macro variable in each step. For example, for content state, you have two macro variables are there. So how these two macro variables are resolved? Mprint will print the base ASCII. After resolving all the macro variables in the step, how it will code your base code will look like. It will print that base ASCII. Okay, like the same symbol gen. Each step it resolves the macro variable. Mprint will print the step. Symbol gen resolve the macro variable. Mprint will print the code. Okay. That's what these three options will do. Okay. Let me give a notes of definition as well. Okay. First one, M logic. M logic option gives the beginning and ending of execution, and it also gives the macro variable values. Mprint will print the base as code after macro variables are resolved. Membergen resolves all the macro variables in each step. Okay. Clear? Debugging options. Any doubts? Anyone? Any questions? Anyone? Nothing? If nothing is there, we'll move to the next. The last topic we have functions. Macro functions. Functions topic we already discussed, right? Character functions, numeric functions. We already discussed, remember? We have separate chapters. Same functions we'll use within the macros as well. Okay. But apart from those functions, you have 3 to 4 new functions are there within the macro. Okay. We'll use those things. See. So same character functions and numeric functions, we can use it within the macro, but while use a percentile symbol if required. If it directly if you won't work, use a percentile symbol before. For example, length function. What length function will give? Tell me, guys. We discussed it, right? Character functions. What length function will give?
It gives the length of the word.
It gives the length of the variable. What's a
Defined and assigned length.
What is a STR function will do?
Function. Extracting of a particular word, sir. String.
Okay, how to extract?
In a with position, sir. I think in position.
It will extract by position. Starting position and length we have to give, right? What scan function will do? Others, anyone? Manasa, Mandit, can anyone tell me what is scan function will do? See, functions is the important topic. Okay, you will definitely go for interview. All the character functions, all the numeric functions, you have to you have to remember. Function meaning, syntax. What scan function will do? Sadhvi. Not Swati. Anyone? Archana, Balaji, Ashok. Yes, sir.
Sir, it separates a character value into a word, sir.
Separate character values. Word. Separator is nothing but extraction only.
Extraction, yes.
It will also extract. Okay, scan function also will extract, but it extract based on the delimiter. Delimiter position. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So scan of variable position and which delimiter is separating. The delimiter you have to pass. Space is the default delimiter.
Yes.
Okay. What index function will do?
Search for specific character or
Search for the searching operation it will do.
Yeah.
Search for the character or series of characters. So it will search what is the output it will give. Position it will give output, right? In
Yes.
which position it is there. Oh. Fine. So similarly, upcase function, low case, prop case, is the only. So same all the character functions, all the numeric functions within the macros also we can use. Okay. Apart from that, some other functions we will see now. The first one, percentile sysfuck. Okay. The definition. If you want to use base as character functions or numeric functions, base as character functions or numeric functions within the macros, we use this facility. Okay. See the syntax, percentage sysfuck, give me the function name. If required, pass any argument. If required, give the format also. Okay. Let's see an example. For example, for data set you're creating, today off. Today off is the function, right? Numeric function. What today off will give? It will give the today's date. Correct? For example, class data set I'm doing. Today off will give the today's date. 1st January to the system running date. Now I use a today off function for in a data state, a normal data state. To derive one variable, we use a today off function. Similarly, now I came to macros topic. For example, I want to create one macro variable, percentile. Today is a macro variable I want to create. That time I use a today off function. Percentile, one macro variable I'm creating. I'm using a today off function. Okay, now run. Okay. See, symbol gen also it was resolving. Even I use a put statement, percentage put statement also will resolve. Same thing, right? Percentage put statement resolves the macro variable. Even symbol gen also resolves the macro variable. Two things not required. What I'll do, I'll stop using one thing. Options. No mlogic, no mprint. These are global options, right? Once I run, it will run throughout your SAS code. No symbol then. So let me stop those things. Okay. Every time, because anyway, everywhere I'm using put statements, so it will avoid us. Yeah. See, percentile put ampersand today. See, today function supposed to give today's date, right? But I did not get the date. It's taking us today two brackets. Means what is happening here? The today function, that functionality is not happening. Here, while creating the macro variable, SAS is it's not treating this as a function. It is treating as a normal word. You're passing, how you'll pass a Reddy or some name you'll pass. How you'll pass? If you give manually, how it will treat? It will treat as a normal characters data. Same way it is also treating here. But for us, we have to know, we have to tell us as saying that, so this is not normal word, it's a function, you have to tell. Clear? So if you use directly a function, it won't work while you are creating the macro variables. If you take all the character functions, all the numeric functions, if you directly will use while creating the macro variables, it won't work. The functionality won't happen. To make that functionality to happen, we have to use percentile sysfunc. See, percentile sysfunc. Now you give that function. Okay, function name. You require give argument. If not, you require some format or give the format. Now you run. See, today our function was what correctly. See, it is giving the today's date in a date and format. 01 Jan 2000. That's a system running rates, today's date. Clear? So if you use directly a function, it won't work. You have to use a percentage system. To make this function to work, you are using system. Not only numeric functions, even the character function also. For example, I have a requirement. I have a date right here. From this date, I want to extract month separately. How can we extract? This January is there, right? This Jan alone, I want to extract separately. What is the character function I have to extract the date and how to extract?
Sebastien?
Can I use Sebastien?
Yes.
So Sebastien, that variable name, comma, what is the starting position? 1, 2, 3. January at third position. How much length? 1, 2, 3. 3 characters. See, I'm going to generate a one macro variable called month. Okay, I'm using the substr function. So if you use directly a substr function, so substr, that macro variable, that variable, starting position and the length. Okay, if you use directly a substr function, it won't work. So to make you substr functions to work, I'm using percentage system. Check now. So it's extracted using substr function. It extracted the month. See, January extract and assigned to the MON macro variable, month macro variable. So like this, any character functions or any numeric function while you are using the macro variable creation handler to make that functions to happen work, use percentage sysfunc. That's what. If you want to use any basis character functions within the macros for macro variable creation and all, we can use this sysfunc facility. Clear? Everyone? Any doubts? Any questions? No questions. So we'll move to the next. You have two more functions: percentage eval, percentage sys eval f. Okay, percentage eval, it evaluates. Evaluation is nothing but some calculations. You want any evaluate any integer numbers, will percentage eval function. If you want to evaluate any floating numbers, floating or decimal numbers, we'll use percentage sys eval f. F is nothing but floating. Okay. For example, see percentage let a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3. I want to add 2 plus 3. If you use directly 2 plus 3, it won't give the result. Okay. You have to use a function called percentage eval. Evaluate the 2 plus 3. These two are macro variables, right? So I'm using 2. Okay. Using percentage push statement, I'm checking in the log window. So the value of b is 2, the value of b is 3, the value of c is 2 plus 3, 5. It's evaluating. Like this, all the integer calculations, anything 1 plus 2, 10 into 3, 4 by 2, 5 by 3. Any integer values, if you want to evaluate, use percentage eval function. 1 plus 2, 3, 3, 10 into 3, 30, 4 by 2, 2, 5 by 3, 1. Okay, clear?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, now we are running this program and everything in a macro only, sir.
Everything in a macro only.
But initially we are not writing the basic programming, sir.
Yeah, I didn't get you.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనం ఇదంతా మ్యాక్రోలో రన్ చేస్తున్నాం కదండి, ఇది ప్లస్ పర్సంటేజ్ లెట్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ లెట్ ఏ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు అట్లా అని.
మాక్రోలో రన్ చేయడం అంటే ఇది సపరేట్ స్టేట్మెంటే కదా, మాక్రో వేరియబుల్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నా కదా, పర్సెంటేజ్ లెట్ అనేది ఒక మెథడ్ కదా.
ఇప్పుడు యాక్చువల్ గా మన మ్యాక్రోస్ లో స్టార్టింగ్ లో బేసిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ కోడ్ రాయాలి కదా సార్.
బేసిక్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ కోడ్ రాయాలి కదా. ఓకే, ఏదైనా మ్యాక్రో క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నారా ఇలానా?
అదే సార్.
ఓకే, క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాం.
ఇప్పుడు మనం ఇక్కడ లెట్ అని ఇచ్చారు, ఇవన్నీ ఫంక్షన్స్ అని చేస్తున్నాం కదా.
అవును,
ఇప్పుడు వీటికి కూడా బేసిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాయాలి కదా అంటున్నా.
వీటికి కూడా బేసిక్ కోడ్ రాయాలి కదా. ఇప్పుడు పర్సెంటేజ్ వాట్ ఈస్ పర్సెంటేజ్ లెట్ మెథడ్?
ఇది క్రియేషన్ ఆఫ్ వేరియబుల్స్, మైక్రో వేరియబుల్స్.
Creating a macro variable. Now this is macro variable. Now I'm showing you how to create. If you want to use within the code, you can use it within the macro anywhere. If you want to use, you can use it. Correct, right? This part I haven't discussed. This is already done. We know how to create a macro, how to call the macro. Now I was discussing. We know already what are the methods are there for creating the macro variables. Now, while creating the macro variables, if you find any situations like this, so there you can use this one. Correct. Every time percentage let a name is equal to Sudarshan. Every time you won't give like that only, right? You will get a situations like this. So I gave some date. Okay, I need this month has to resolve. This month it will go. I'll use this month macro available within the code. Correct. So that time we use. So we are creating the macro. Up to here, your percentile let method, yes, you'll only create a macro. Again, this macro variable If you want to use within the macro, for example, your condition happening where your month equal to Jan. So this macro variable will resolve here. Ampersand macro variable dot. Ampersand macro variable dot. So what is the meaning? So this macro variable, wherever month you resolve, right, using macro variable, you derive, right? It will resolve here. Wherever Jan is equal to Jan, the condition success, the data set will create. Agree? So here you are creating the using percentile let method. You created the macro variable. That's fine. Okay. And this macro variable I'm using in my macro. Depends on the requirement.
That is, you are predefining it, sir.
Predefining.
First of all, you are predefining the that one month variable. Then only you are implementing it in the macro.
Not predefining is you are creating a macro variable, and that macro variable I'm using here within the macro. That's what the purpose of macro variables, right? First we'll create a macro variables. Those macro variables will use it in the code, in the macro code. Wherever you want to resolve that value. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So while creating these macro variables, see, these are the functions you have. Two functions, percentage eval, percentage shifts eval. If you want to evaluate anything, 2 plus 3. You can't do directly. You have to use a percentage eval. Okay. See here. Right? 1 plus 2, 10 into 3, 4 by 2, 5 by 3. So it will evaluate only integer values, and it results also will give only integer values. For example, 5 by 3, it's a 1.666 something, but it will give only integer portion only as an output. Okay. But the same scenario, if you use a percentage eval function, it will give the decimal values also. Okay. See, percentage is eval f. It evaluates the floating values. Okay. See, for example, 10.0, 20.0. So this is a decimal numbers. On a decimal numbers, if you apply percentage eval function, it won't work. It's throwing an error. Instead of eval function, use eval f. Percentage is eval f. If you use this is eval f, see, it won't give any error. 10.0 into 3.0, 30. 10.5, 20.8, 31.3. Okay. 5 by 3 is integer numbers only, but see the results 1.666. Previously, when you use percentage eval function, the results it is giving us only one decimal numbers it is giving. Now, when you use percentage eval f function, the result it is giving with the decimal values. Okay, that's the difference. Eval percentage eval. Straightforward, remember percentage eval for integer numbers, percentage eval for the floating numbers. Floating means decimal numbers. Okay, once you created the macro variable, just you can use it in the macro. Next, later in any macro step you will write, right? You'll define a macro. While you're defining the macro, in that steps you can use these macro variables. Okay. So these are the two functions here. Clear up to here? Next. See here, before I discuss two more functions, you have a, in the normal base SAS code, how to use if else conditions. Percentage, for example, percentage if sex is equal to then gender, else if gender. Or some how to write a do loops also. Do I is equal 1 to 10 substitute. The normal base SAS code, but same if else conditions, same do loops within the macros if you want to use it. Okay. So I give an example. I wrote some small macro of comparing the numbers. Okay. Percentile, you have to use a percentile symbols everywhere. Percentile if condition, percentile then give a statement. Same percentage else, percentage if, percentage then. Even a do loops also. I gave do iterative method, remember? So they use percentile do, percentile to, percentile. Within the macros, when if you want to use this if else conditions or any do loops, you have to add a percentiles before. To tell that point only, I gave this example. See, I wrote some small macro comparing of numeric numbers. I'm writing the condition if two macro variables I'm giving, the values I'm passing while calling the macro. If first greater than second, so I'm writing some put statement, it will print in the log window. One is greater than second. See, first equal to second, else if, then first equals to second, else first is less than second. It's small, I'm not creating any data step and proc step. Just I want to check the values and print in the log window. See, I'm comparing the numbers. Okay. 1, 1. So 2 macro variables created, those passing while calling the macro. So this 1, 1 result there. Check everywhere condition. Greater than 1 or 1 equal to 1, 1 less than 1. So 1 equal to 1. So this put statement will print in the log window. See, 1 equals 1. Clear? Anything. 5, 0. We call 5, 0. See, 5 is greater than 0. Clear? So within the macros, if you want to apply the if else conditions, add a percentiles before. That is the important. I give one more example for floating numbers also. So I'm comparing them with a 1.2, 0.9. If I pass a floating numbers, who is the percentage? Well, percentage is a volume. See, I'm running this macro comparing the floating. I'm calling the one 1.1, 0.9. 1.2 is greater than 0.9. Zoning correctly. Clear? So this code itself, for example, this is your base as code, let us assume. If you want to convert code means what you will do? Percentile macro from test macro you are writing. Percentile close with MN step. Okay. So same step within the macros if you want to write. What do you have to do? You have to add a percentile step. Percentile condition, percentile then, percentile else, percentile if, percentile then. Simple. Then you call the macro. How to call the macro? Percentile test. Define the macro. Call the macro. Okay. Okay, something spelling mistake. /cell. There are 19 observations are there. What that mail address is created. What I'm doing here. Sex is equal gender I'm creating. What happened? Why it is not created? It is gender variable. Normal base code is running right. 1 second. So variables are created. Male, female is coming. Same as to come in a macro essence. What happened in a data step? It's coming in campus. What I did a mistake. In macro step is not coming. Same problem, just added a percentage only. Anyone found anything? Okay. Then leave it. Let me know later. It's supposed to come. I don't know. Nothing much. And then I go and I'll check this one later. Why it's not supposed to work. It's creating what values are not come. But you understand, right? This one, how to use this one, guys. This add a percentage symbols in the macros if you want to use if else conditions. Okay. So we left with only two functions here, macro quoting functions. Okay. So there are two types of macro quoting functions. One is mask. Okay. Quoting is nothing but masking. What is the meaning of masking? the keyboard, there are so many special characters are there, correct? At the rate, hashtags, dollar symbol, percentile, and symbols, question mark, brackets. There are so many special characters. In all those special characters, this percentile and ampersand are different and special. Why? In this macros topic, why this percentile ampersand was different and special? In all other special characters, only these two special characters are different. Anyone tell me why?
They're using in creating the
So this percentile we are using for the macro creation and macro calling on, correct? Ampersand we are using for the resolving the macro variables, correct? Now we have two functions, percentile str, percentile nrstr. Percentile str used to mask all the special characters other than the percentile and ampersand. Percentile nrstr used to mask only percentile and ampersand. What is masking? We'll see an example. See, for example, percentile let friends macro variable I want to create. I'm giving alloc and power. Alloc and power. Run the program. See, it's throwing a warning saying that apparent symbolic reference power is not resolved. Apparent symbolic reference power is not resolved. What is this warning meaning? Not resolved. Why got this warning? What is ampersand power meaning? So generally in a macro variable, in the macros, what we are doing, we are writing ampersand macro variable, correct? Ampersand macro variables you are writing, right? So SAS will think that now also this is also ampersand macro variable. So that's the reason it will try to search for the power macro variable. Did you define anywhere? It try to search that macro variable and it will try to resolve it. But you are not created any macro variable called power. It is not resolved. So throwing a warning. Apparent symbols power is not resolved. But we know that here this is not a macro variable. But we have to look at this is a normal and symbol. It's a not ampersand macro variable. That not that ampersand, that and symbol. It's a normal and symbol. So we have to tell the SAS saying that okay, don't consider this one as a ampersand macro variable. Consider it as a normal and symbol. So that's what you have to do. Okay, you have to quote it or you have to mask this ampersand value. Mask this as a okay, mask it as a oh, this is not a macro variable and this is a general and. So to mask it, or suppose if I use a percentile str function, percentile str alloc and power. See, still you are getting this warning. Why? Because percentile str function, it will mask all the special characters other than these two. So if you want to mask these two, either percentile or ampersand, use nrstr function. See, now I'm using nrstr function. If I use nrstr function, it won't throw any warnings. See, it will collect, it will resolve correctly as a alloc and power. Clear? Like this. To mask any other special characters, use percentage str. If you mask specifically percentage and ampersand, use percentage and ampersand. Okay, clear? That's it. These are the two coding functions you have, and evaluation you have two functions, percentage eval, and this percentage sys. These are the functions specifically for the macros. Apart from all other character functions and numeric functions, whatever we learn, those should be there. Clear? That's it. I have a quick. Now you can ask me any doubts. Any questions, anyone? So with this, we have completed the macros topic. We completed the basis and advanced test topic. From tomorrow, I'll start the clinical sets. Okay. So those who are going to discontinue from the base and advanced, who are not coming to the clinical SAS classes. Okay. So I'll share the interview questions also for bases and advances. Let me give. Okay. So these are the interview questions I have prepared separately. Okay. I'll share these interview questions. So once you practice is done before going to interview, so go through these interview questions. Okay. These are some advanced questions, some basic questions if you want to prepare also. Some people may know or may not know. So there's a website called listendata.com. Okay. Here you will have okay. So here you have 100 interview questions will be the top 100 interview questions. So prepare these interview questions as well. Okay, prepare these interview questions and which I give the PDF copy. We prepare these interview questions are enough. Whichever interview you go, you can easily crack it. No one will ask a question more than this. Okay, clear? So I'm mentioning this website. Some people may know, people doesn't know maybe. I'm mentioning this website also in the notes, so you can refer in future. Okay. Sure. That's it I have. Basic and advanced. So any questions, anyone? I think almost everyone will continue. I think Swati and Sadhu will going to disconnect. So to join from tomorrow's class for clinical science, I'll share a new Zoom link. And the Zoom link you can join the classes. Those who want to continue for clinicals. Okay. Okay. Any Sadhu, you have anything? Sadhu, Swati. The most others, everyone is continuing.
Right now, I don't have any questions, Sudarshan, but while practicing, if I have any questions, I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, sure. Fine then. So I'll send the class notes, complete macros topic class notes, and the interview questions and the like. Okay. Thank you. So that's it for today.
Recording
Thank you.
stopped.
Catch up tomorrow.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.